Alright, what's up everybody? We're here for another episode of Dave's R&R Rambles and Reviews and much more at this point with your host Dave. And what a weekend we have coming up. If you're a sports fan, if you're an entertainment fan, if you're a wrestling fan, it's a great weekend because Saturday we kick off with arguably the second biggest event in wrestling as a whole. We've got the Royal Rumble this Saturday night, one of the best events. And then Sunday, we have our NFC and AFC championships in the NFL to determine who goes to the Super Bowl. This podcast is kind of going to focus on those two things. First, I'm going to give my quick picks for the AFC and NFC Championship. We'll just run through those real quick. And then the Royal Rumble kind of made me thinking about a big question. I've been to both the Royal Rumble and I've been to both Wrestlemania. And it's been weighing on my head lately. I've been internally debating it. So I want to talk it out here on the podcast. Is the Royal Rumble a better live event to go to than WrestleMania? The two biggest going head to head in my head right now. So we're going to figure out this episode which one is a better event to see in person if you had to choose one. So let's get right into it and we'll go to our NFC Championship Sunday, January 29th. It starts at 3 p.m. on the East Coast. We have San Francisco 49ers going to the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites in this one. And I hate to be saying it, but I'm leaning heavy on the Eagles in this game. Don't even bother if you're betting on it, taking them on the money line, because I think for them to win, it's going to have to be over that number. If it's a close game, I think San Fran's going to squeak it out if it's within that 1 or 2 range. So the Eagles, I think, are going to win this game. I think it might actually be pretty handily. I think this is going to be the least contested of the two games. My big reason is I just don't believe in the 49ers in this spot. Brock Purdy's done everything he can with the situation he's been given, from mystery relevant to the starter of one of the highest contended teams, one of the potential Super Bowl dark horses. He's now in this spot. He's gotten the 49ers to this game. And what he did against the Cowboys doesn't give me a lot of confidence against this Eagles team. And I think a big thing that's kind of being overlooked right now is that this game's in Philly. And how loud that arena is going to be, how hostile the fans are going to be. I don't know if there's any rookie quarterback ever that could do that great in this spot. And we're expecting Brock Purdy to do great things here. I don't think so, because he would have to do great things to beat this Eagles team. Ever since they added A.J. Brown this offseason, the offense has just been outstanding. It's given Jalen Hurts all the weapons he needs to be a very successful quarterback in the NFL. They're going to put up their points this game no matter how good that San Fran defense is. I just don't see Brock Purdy being able to keep the pace. This one, especially if the Eagles start with the ball and get up early, they can't really go with the game plan. I'm sure they're going to try to feed McCaffrey a lot, so I'm really heavily leaning the Eagles on this one. And that'll lead us into our nighttime game. We have the Cincinnati Bengals going to the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're looking at it from a betting perspective, the line has flipped. It's practically still a pick-em at this point. When the line opened, the Bengals were 1-point favorites, and now the Chiefs are 1-point favorites. Really doesn't matter there. You might as well go on the money line. But I will be taking the Bengals in this game. I hate to say it. I think we're going to get a Super Bowl of two teams I hate, the Eagles and the Bengals. I just don't think Patrick Mahomes is at 100% no matter what they try to tell us. And for Mahomes to win this game, for the Kansas City Chiefs to win, they're going to have to be 100%. Because they gave the Bengals everything they had last year. They started up early and the Bengals still came back. And the Bengals, they look like the team of destiny right now, how they handled the Bills in Buffalo last weekend. So, I think the Bengals are the play here. I think if we get Eagles and Bengals Super Bowl, it should be a good one. I think all 4 of these teams are deserving at this point. But I'm going Eagles and Bengals to win this weekend. And that'll lead us into our next subject here. We've got the Royal Rumble coming up. So I've been thinking, is the Royal Rumble a better live event to go to than WrestleMania? And this is one I would like to hear back on. I might put up some polls on this to see where people's heads are at on this. Because I'll give kind of the preface here. I went to the Royal Rumble 5 years ago. That was in Philadelphia, the one of Shinsuke Nakamura winning, and the first ever Women's Rumble with Asuka winning. And then I went to WrestleMania 35 in Newark, New Jersey, the big Kofi Mania, the big Becky 2 belt spot. So I've seen both in person, and this is kind of my take on it, just going through it. both have their pros and cons. So we'll start with the Royal Rumble. The pros is you get to see the Royal Rumble matches, which even if it's kind of like a dollar Royal Rumble, it's still one of the more fun live events. Just to be able to do part of the countdown, you don't really know who's coming in next. Really, if you stick away from the dirt sheets, which I did when I went, it makes it even more thrilling because you have no idea who's coming back. Rey Mysterio, my favorite wrestler of all time, came back at the one I went to, and I had no idea, and it was probably the best moment I've ever experienced as a WWE fan from the live events I've gone to. So it is great getting to see those Rumble matches in person. Usually the winner's kind of predictable. I didn't really think Shinsuke was as predictable until the end of it, but it's still great to see in person from beginning to end. And then the only cons I would have to say for the Royal Rumble is the matches in between generally are kind of weak. I know in some cases there have been Rumbles that have had amazing matches, like the one a couple years before that where it was Cena, Brock, and Rollins in the triple threat match. It has had its good matches from time to time, but the real anticipation comes from the actual Rumble matches, so I feel sometimes you might not get as much quality in between those two matches. So we'll head over to WrestleMania, and kind of the pros on that is, it's the big one. It's essentially the Super Bowl of wrestling. Everyone's there. It's in a huge arena, sold out every year. You got all the fans buzzing the whole time. Spirits are always high going into it. You're in for a good show because this is what all the wrestlers work towards all year. And you always know with WrestleMania you're going to get top quality matches. You're going to get some good surprises. Maybe not as good of surprises as the Rumble, but you're always going to get the high profile appearances. And WrestleMania is just a great event to go to. Just walking into the big arena, everyone as happy as can be, everyone cheering, everyone having the chants going. It's just an awesome experience. Now here's the con that I'm going to go with, and it's completely different if you go to WrestleMania now or if you went to WrestleMania a long time ago. For WrestleMania 35, the biggest thing was the runtime. While from the top of the card to the bottom of the card there was some great wrestling, I think it ended up being about a 7 or 8 hour event, and that's just way too long at that point. You're cheering nonstop, you're booing nonstop, you're going crazy nonstop for it, and it's just such a long event. And by the end, the main event was Becky versus Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for both titles, and Becky ended up winning. It was her shining moment, but you could just tell by that point the crowd couldn't give it 100%. I'd say the crowd was maybe about 70% at that point looking back on it. After Kofi Mania, honestly, it kind of started dwindling down a little bit. Not to say that the moment wasn't as huge for Becky, but just the crowd reaction at that point. It was past like 11 p.m. Everyone's kind of waiting to go at that point. It's been a long day of wrestling. It started, I think, 4 p.m., so it's just a lot for one single day. And now that they have it split into 2 nights, I think that's one of the best things they've ever done. It could be different, but right now, based off my current experiences, and that's only what I can go off of. Some people have been to other Rumbles, some people have been to other Manias, so maybe there's kind of some contradiction there. Some people might think otherwise. But I would pick right now, the Royal Rumble is my favorite to go to, just because of the excitement you get during the Rumble matches. Nothing beats the countdown. Everyone in the crowd counting. You have no idea who's coming out next until that theme music hits. It's such an awesome experience. If I had to go to just one, I would definitely pick the Rumble. Some people may call me crazy for that. That may be a hot take, but that's just where I stand with it. I'm hoping to go to more in the future, especially at WrestleMania. I would love to see how it is with 2 nights, and maybe that would help with the fatigue of it. But right now, just the fatigue was a little too much with WrestleMania. As great of a show as it was, it's 1A, 1B really, but the Royal Rumble for me takes that 1A. And that's it for this show. I'm sure we'll have a lot of reactions after this weekend of what goes down in the Rumble and what goes down with these conference championships for the NFL. We're coming to an end of football season. It's a sad, sad thing, but the road to WrestleMania starts this weekend. Just some quick picks for the Royal Rumble. If you haven't seen the new post about it, I think it's obviously either going to be The Rock or Cody Rhodes for the guy spot. It's very predictable. Maybe Seth Rollins is a long shot. And I think Rhea Ripley's kind of a shoo-in from the women's side as well. But that's my predictions, and for all I know, they could throw me a swerve. So I'm sure I'll have some reactions to that. And thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support. We're trying to do the mixed bag as always with the episodes. I hope you enjoyed the Traders episode last week. If you listened, keep following on social media. Twitter, Instagram, and now on TikTok as well, Dave's R&R. We're trying to expand out, trying to post a little more, trying to review a little more, trying to ramble a little more like I am right now. So everybody, have a great weekend.